to share with you some tips to keep you a little bit safer. These include proper password use, securing your physical devices, antivirus software, avoiding risky behavior, and website security. So we have a presentation over here, and I want to start with talking about passwords and what actually makes a good password. I know people tend to hate passwords because they're difficult to manage and remember, but fortunately there are a few things you can do to make this easier. If you sign up for any new accounts lately, you've probably been forced to create a password that has uppercase letters, numbers, all sorts of symbols, and things like that. But that's actually counterintuitive to making a good password. So if you look at this comic strip up here, a lot of sites want you to create a password like the upper top corner. You can see there's 0 used for an O, a 4 used for an A, an and symbol, and all sorts of stuff. Complicated, hard for you to remember, and things like that. Below that, there's another example of a password, which is just 4 random common words. This one is correct horse battery stable. And the first example, that only accounts for 28 bits of entropy, which if a computer were guessing at 1,000 guesses per second, it would only take 3 days for a computer to crack that password. Whereas the bottom password, correct horse battery stable, is 44 bits of entropy. It would take a computer 550 years at 1,000 guesses per second to guess that password. So the moral of the story here is longer is better, not more complicated. In addition to making better passwords, you also shouldn't repeat passwords. So we tend to use the same password over and over again for many different accounts, whether it's your email, your bank, Facebook, etc. But you really should have a unique password for every account. And to make this easier on you to remember, you can use a standard naming convention. So let's say you had a base password you wanted to use. In this example, if you can see down at the bottom, I have Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. So you can add a unique identifier, let's say, to the end of your password that identifies the website you're using it for. So in this example, I'm just taking the first letter of the company and the last letter of the company. So my password for Google becomes Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs GE. For Amazon, it would be Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs AN, and Yahoo, YO at the end. So you can see using a pattern like that will help you easily remember a basic password. You only have to remember your last few characters at the end for the service you're using. Another way to do this would be to insert the whole word in there. As you can see, I have Snow White and the 7 Google Dwarfs, Snow White and the 7 Amazon Dwarfs, which are the tallest dwarfs you will ever see. Snow White and the 7 Yahoo Dwarfs. So there's a couple different ways you can do it. Okay, so having a unique password for every site might seem like a nightmare, but you can actually keep this under control using a password vault. If you've never heard of a password vault, it's just a program that stores all of your passwords and you access it with one master password. So you don't have to memorize your passwords for 1,000 different sites. Your passwords for individual sites could actually just be randomly generated or however you want to do it. A couple examples of password vaults are KeePass and LastPass. These are 2 pretty big companies that do password vaults. The difference here is KeePass would be a software you install on your computer, and it would hold all of your passwords, and you could use it for anything on your computer, whether you're logging into a program on your computer or something in your browser, etc. But it's only good for your computer. LastPass, on the other hand, you can share across multiple devices. So you can keep your passwords on your computer, your tablet, your phone, etc. But it's only browser-based, so it's only going to help you log into things on the internet, not actual programs on your device. So those are 2 examples you guys can consider. LastPass is pretty affordable. It's, I think, about $12 a year or something like that. It's usually worth the hassle. And there are other options out there, but those are 2 pretty reputable companies. All right, so now that you have some good password tips, make sure you're using passwords on your devices. This is pretty much a no-brainer if you're using a shared device or you're in a public space and stuff like that. But many people often feel like you don't need a password on your home computer. And I would urge you to reconsider that. Because if someone broke into your house and stole your computer, they're going to have access to all of your information on that computer. However, some random person robbing your house probably isn't also going to be a hacker. So a password on your computer could be just enough deterrent, and most likely they would end up selling your computer for parts or completely wiping it, and your information could potentially stay secure. It can be just enough of a deterrent for a criminal to not want to bother with it. Make sure you're using passwords on all of your devices too. If you guys have phones and tablets, there's a lot of different options for securing those now, where you don't have to remember a password. A lot of phones, you can just draw a pattern. Some new phones have fingerprint scanners on them. So check with your device and see what kind of security options you have on there, and figure out something that's going to work for you, that you're going to remember it, and hopefully not lock yourself out of your own device. Before we move on here to antivirus software, let me just talk a little bit about wireless networks too. Since you're securing your devices, make sure you also secure your wireless network. In addition to using a long password, there's other things you can do too, such as turning on WPA2 encryption, changing your SSID name, testing and enable your wireless router's firewall, and turn off the admin via wireless features on your router. If you use Google Tips for securing your home network, you'll get a lot of great informational articles that can give you more information on that. But just like I said before, you know, if someone breaks into your house to steal your computer, you're probably going to notice it. You're probably not going to notice if someone breaks into your Wi-Fi connection, because you're usually not monitoring that. So take the steps up front to have security before kind of your neighbors start stealing your internet, accessing your network. Okay, so limiting access to your devices and network will keep it physically safe. The next step is to make sure there's some protection while you're connected to the internet, which means antivirus software. I can't tell you how many times a friend or family member has called me helping me get a virus off their computer. For less web-savvy people like my mom, who's on Facebook playing games all the time, it's constantly getting her computer. But even smart, savvy web browsers like me, I know what to stay away from on the internet and stuff like that. Even I've gotten computer viruses. It's really easy to get infected out there because cyber criminals just keep getting more and more cunning, which is why everyone should have some type of protection. Then the question comes, how do you choose a good antivirus program? Because, you know, there are millions out there. Luckily, I've done the research for you, and I have a couple of good recommendations. It pains me to say this a little bit, but some of the best protection out there is from providers you're already familiar with, like Norton and McAfee. I find both of those to be a bit clunky and irritating. They're always asking you things popping up on your computer, but they are very highly rated by both independent testing companies and users for their effectiveness. So if you're already using Norton or McAfee, you are good on those. If you're looking for some type of more robust antivirus that's a little less obtrusive, consider WebRoot. It's a PC Magazine 19-time winner, and it boasts next-gen cybersecurity. It's available for PC and Mac along with your mobile devices, and there's some competitive pricing. It's about the same price as Norton and that kind of thing. Another great program to look into is Malwarebytes. Especially if you already think you're infected with malware on your computer. A lot of times, if I'm helping someone get a virus off their computer, I look up what the virus is and find how-to articles on how to remove it, and usually the first step on all of those is to install Malwarebytes and run it on your computer. So this is a really reliable program I recommend that everyone uses. Some other highly rated programs include Kaspersky Antivirus, Bitdefender, and Trend Micro Internet Security 27. All right, our next topic here is software updates. This is a huge factor in staying secure. Just keeping your system up to date. All those updates are not just for new features, they're to fix security vulnerabilities. Mac users don't usually have a big problem with this because you guys are used to automatic updates. However, PC users are horrible at updating. So if you're still clinging on to Windows XP, you gotta give it up. You just gotta come to terms with the fact that it's no longer supported, it's a security nightmare, and get yourself upgraded to Windows 8.1 or Windows 10. I mean, if you're using an outdated system like that, you're using something that hackers have had, 10, 15 years to investigate and find all of the holes and everything, and it's, like I said, not supported by Microsoft anymore, so you're not going to get any security fixes or anything for it. While we're talking about Windows, let's move on to Internet Explorer. Not my favorite browser because I'm a web developer, but it is one of the most popular browsers. If you're, again, using Windows XP, you cannot update past Internet Explorer 8, which is pretty out of date, causing another huge security risk. If you are stuck on Windows XP because your employer won't upgrade your computer or something like that, you could download Chrome or Firefox as a safer browsing option. If you're on a newer version of Windows, make sure you're using IE 11 or Edge. No exception. There's no reason to be on an older version of Internet Explorer. Using outdated browsers is a huge security risk. So if possible, if it's not already, make sure you set your browser to automatically update. That's the best option. So using outdated software is risky, but there are also other risky behaviors that you should avoid while online. Now, you're not likely to stumble upon anything in the dark underbelly of the internet, like the deep web or something like that, unless you go looking for it. But that doesn't mean there's other places that you're going to find yourself where you can get in a little bit of trouble. So here's some things you need to stay away from. The first one is peer-to-peer file sharing. You guys remember Napster? Way back in the day? Napster brought the concept of peer-to-peer file sharing kind of to the public eye and made it a household name. It's the predecessor to all sorts of programs like BearShare, LimeWire, BitTorrent, the kind of things kids use to download music and stuff like that. In addition to the legal implications of using those types of programs and services, it's like leaving your front door open and turning your porch light on for malware. You're voluntarily downloading files from some person you don't know on the internet and hoping it is what it says it is. Okay, also stay away from questionable downloads and entertainment. Nowadays, this includes things like Pirate Bay and online video streaming sites. If you're using the internet for things you shouldn't talk about in public, chances are you're engaging in some risky behavior. We don't encourage any illegal behavior, but even if what you're doing is legal but a little bit shady, get a computer you don't care about and dedicate it to that, and do not hook it to your network. So, secure shopping is our next topic, much safer topic. This is our area of expertise. As you guys know, we're web developers with great websites, and we specialize in e-commerce websites, websites that sell products or services to customers. So if you're shopping online, which a lot of people shop online now, always make sure that you're using a secure checkout. Look for that security icon in your browser. Never, ever give your payment information over an unsecure connection, and that includes email. Do not email your personal information, because email is not secure. If you yourself are running an online store, you're going to want to have an SSL certificate. That is the handy thing that gives your customers that security lock and secures your checkout. It may cost you a little bit of money, but if you're subject to PCI compliance laws, it's something you have to have. As a side benefit to having an SSL certificate, it tends to have positive effects on your conversions, and it can also give you a bit of an SEO boost, so it might increase your search engine rankings. If you're running an informational site, statistically speaking, you're probably on WordPress, which is one of the most popular content management systems in the world. And for good reason. It's really easy to use. Chances are you probably have some interaction with WordPress-powered sites. We've done many local WordPress sites. You can see some examples up there. Jalapenos, Mia Boutique, John's North Star, Gunsmoke Grill. About 1/6 of all content management websites are on WordPress right now. So if you have a back end to run your website, there's a really good chance that you're on WordPress. Unfortunately, with popularity comes vulnerability. Hackers love to target large platforms because the possible payout is much larger when the target pool is so much bigger. That's why WordPress is often the target of attacks. But fortunately, there are easy ways to keep your WordPress site secure too. This includes installing security plugins, keep your installation up to date, use strong passwords like we already talked about. And if you're using FTP to access your site at all, make sure it's secure FTP. Keep all your plugins up to date and make sure they're from trusted suppliers. The great part about WordPress is there are literally thousands and thousands of developers developing free tools you can use on your website. Just because they're free doesn't mean they're safe. So on WordPress.org, you can always look up a plugin and see what it's rated by other consumers and get more information about it and do your research before you install it on your website. You can also use cloud-based firewalls. These next couple of things are things that a security plugin might do for you, and that's renaming your admin account, make frequent backups, filter out your spam comments, logging and monitoring tools, lock down your file permissions, which you can do via your secure FTP access, and make sure you pick a quality web hosting provider. Not all web hosting providers are equal. Our last security tip is stop spam bots. You probably have a general idea of what a spam bot is. It's some variation of an automated program designed to do something in mass, usually something annoying or malicious. This can cause problems in many forms. It could be a denial of service attack, where bots just keep trying to access your site so many times it uses up all your system resources and your website goes down. Or this could be, sending you a billion spam emails through the forms on your website, or if you have an e-commerce website trying to submit tons of fraudulent orders. One of the best things you can do, the first thing you should do, is use your provider's built-in security risk tools. So for example, we work with Yahoo Small Business, and they have some risk tools like reCAPTCHA and stuff like that you can enable that tries to help identify real customers from bots. So a lot of times your provider will have tools. On top of that, you can use third-party solutions that can help filter out the spam traffic before it gets to your website. So, next slide. Services like Cloudflare, Security, and Perva Encapsula, these are services you can pay for, and so when traffic comes to your website and hits this service first, they determine whether or not it's legitimate traffic, and if it's not, they block it. If it is legitimate traffic, they let it through to your site. So filtering out that traffic before it gets to your site is ideal and can help you avoid any outages or things like that. So those are all of our tips. I hope you found them helpful. Just to review, we went over using proper passwords, securing your physical devices, make sure you're using antivirus software, avoid risky behavior, and secure your website. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us. I'm available, Brandy's available. You can also contact us with our contact information up there or stop by our office in Oglesby. And we give presentations like this on all sorts of topics all the time. There are free workshops if you're interested in any of those. You can sign up to learn more on our website. And do you want to talk about the next one?
We actually have a workshop coming up March 29th, which is going to be talking on the topic of local SEO. So if you have a website and you've ever wondered, like, how do I get my website boosted in Google organically when somebody searches roofing contractor in LaSalle, Illinois, how do I get my website to show up for that? That's some tips that we're going to be going over. So that's going to be March 29th at our office. If you're interested, just feel free to contact us.
Thank you for Stephanie.
Yes.
I just wanted to give All Web Promotion and in particular Stephanie and Randy a plug. I'm developing a regional engagement website and they've just been awesome. And really can't say enough good about them. So
Thank you.
yeah.
Can we get a copy of your PowerPoint?
Sure, if you just want to post up your contact information, email, we can send all of that over to you.
Stephanie, the guy on TV that's selling whitelist security instead of Norton or Mac PC Mash. There, thank you, Mike. You didn't mention that kind of product at all.
I'm not familiar with that one, but I could research that and let you know. It is something you always want to research with antivirus because a big thing is there are a lot of programs out there that are claimed to be antivirus programs that are actually malware and Trojans and malicious software for your computer. So I haven't seen the ad. If it's a legitimate commercial, it might be something worth looking into. If it was an infomercial, I probably wouldn't download it.
It kind of like reminds me of those pop-up ads that you get on your computer that'll say like, you have 10 viruses, download this now to take care of it, which is a complete trap. Yeah, so also to be careful.
And is there any block of that?
The pop-ups?
Yeah.
Chrome and Firefox have some add-ons that you can put on there that block ads in general, to try to simplify some of that. And that's a good thing to watch out for too, I didn't mention, but if you're downloading antivirus or stuff, make sure you're on the actual manufacturer's website, the official site to get it, because a lot of places will make it look like you're downloading that product and you're not. It's a bad program and things like that. Especially even sites where you can get legitimate downloads, a lot of times there are ads that look like download buttons, and you're just like, there's 10 download buttons, what do I click? So you gotta be really vigilant about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, in those pop-up ads, so they try to trick you sometimes, and then it'll say like a big like X button that says like close or something in the middle of the ad, which is probably actually a download button. So always close out those pop-ups by the actual X button that's in like that top right-hand corner. But yeah, they will try to like trick you in other ways to download it.
They are crafty. Yes.
Is the end game for people to spend that much time trying to be nefarious and do things with your computer just to get information to make money from it? I mean, what other motivation is there for somebody to do that?
It's all money based. So at the end of the day, whether they're installing a keylogger on your computer to get your passwords or anything like that, they're trying to get your personal identification, to get your banking information or to steal your identity or things like that. And you might think it's a lot of effort, but actually I just read a blog post from Yahoo that referenced another news article, and low-wage workers like in Bangladesh, India, and stuff like that, people will actually pay them, it averages from 80 cents to $1.20 to try to get past 1,000 CAPTCHA forms. So there are people in these other countries willing to work very cheap to do all of this stuff en masse. So it is worth the effort for some people. They're creative, they're outsourcing their own nefarious business. And that happens a lot, just like when you hear about, if you get rid of your computer, you should always, destroy your hard drive or wipe your hard drive and stuff like that. When computers get recycled and they get all these hard drives and sell these hard drives, they usually end up in West Africa. Usually in places like Kenya, Ghana, and stuff like that. And that is where a lot of internet fraud comes from, especially if they're getting your credit card information off of your site. Like Nikki mentioned in my introduction, I used to work for a large e-commerce retailer, and I ran the live chat department. And in the chat software, you could actually see where people were chatting from. And when you looked late at night, like 3 a.m. and stuff like that, you could see that there were people from Russia just constantly going through their checkout, trying different credit card numbers. So it's very interesting, but the end game is, yes, to get your financial information, to steal your identity, and to make money off of you.
Part 2 of that is how do we just in the home wipe out the machine when we're ready to get rid of it?
There are a couple different like military grade wiping programs that you can use. If you want to give us your contact information, I can send you over some. Another thing is a lot of people just physically destroy your hard drive.
So, yeah, if you're done with the computer and you're not passing it along to anyone else, you can just take your hard drive out and we just drill a hole through it. You just want to make sure that you actually get the disk. If you break that disk inside the hard drive, you'll be good. But there are actually software tools that if you, like restore or wipe the hard drive, that sometimes it's not always gone, that there are tools that they could go back and recover some of your information. So we just recommend, like, if you're actually done with that computer and it's old, you're gonna throw it out, take the hard drive out and destroy it, whether with a hammer or a drill or.
Yeah, or if you are passing it on, like I said, get a quality program. And these are not something that's going to be simple, like, they will go through, if you run this, it will take like 2 days and it will just continue to write over your hard drive, like a zillion times until any information on there is not readable anymore.
Thank you.
Any other questions today?
Drill.
Name, please.